Hello and welcome to Jamaica Magazine. Today, October 1, we join the global community in observing International Day of Older Persons under the theme Older Persons Driving Local and Global Action, or Aspirations, or Well-Being and or Rights. Stay with us as we have more coming up after the news. I'm Theodore Henry, and it's a pleasure to guide you through today's program.
The Statistical Institute of Jamaica Statin will be conducting the 2025 Jamaica Survey of Living Conditions JSLC starting August 2025. For over 30 years, PIOJ analysis of JSLC data has helped to shape national policy, including on education, healthcare, and social support. When the JSLC team visits your home, participate. Your voice helps guide real solutions. For more information, visit statinja.gov.jm or WhatsApp Statin at 876-569-1083.
Good day, I'm Lisa Rowe and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, October 1, 2025. The Statistical Institute of Jamaica Statin is reporting that the economy grew by 1.6% for the April to June quarter of this year when compared to the same period in 2024. The data was released yesterday, indicating contributing factors of a 3.6% increase in the goods-producing industries and a 1% increase in the services industries. Unemployment for the third quarter of 2025 is 3.3%, 0.3 percentage points lower than July 2024. A further breakdown shows a 75% participation rate for males in the labor force and 63.4% for females. Statin says total spending on imports increased by 3.6% to over $3.1 billion for January to May this year. This was driven by increased imports of raw material or intermediate goods, consumer goods, fuels, and lubricants. Meanwhile, earnings from total exports for the same period were valued at $773 million, 6.9% lower than 2024 figures. This decline was attributable to a 26.8% fall in the value of mineral fuels. The Jamaica Constabulary Force is calling on an all-of-society approach to address an alarming increase in suicide-related deaths. The JCF says coordinated action is urgently needed to strengthen community resilience, provide counseling and support services, as well as respond effectively to the vulnerabilities that may be driving the increase. According to the JCF, 44 cases were recorded between January to September this year, when compared to 53 for the same period in 2024. The law enforcement agency says while this decline may seem positive, the monthly breakdown reveals a troubling pattern. Suicides were consistently lower for January to June. However, July went up by 33%, August by 20%, and September by 25%. These are in comparison to the same period last year. The constabulary also notes that there has been a geographic shift in suicide-related deaths across parishes, highlighting notable spikes in St. James, St. Elizabeth, St. Catherine South, and St. Thomas in 2024. However, this year, St. Catherine North recorded 4 cases in July, reflecting the localized socioeconomic or community pressures. The JCF says though males account for most suicides, there's been an uptick in female deaths, signaling the need for urgent gender-sensitive interventions. In other news, Jamaica and New Zealand will lead the implementation review process of all mandates coming out of the 80th United Nations General Assembly UNGA 80 in New York last week. Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith says the over 2,000 mandates which were made from resolutions that were passed will be shared with the UN to provide a way forward. Minister Johnson-Smith made the disclosure at this morning's post-cabinet press briefing at Jamaica House, where she provided an update on Jamaica's participation at the UNGA 80.
Every time the General Assembly passes a resolution, it has a mandate, and that means that the UN must do something. there are more than 2,000 of these, and all of them have not been implemented. And our process is now to work with all of the member states to go through what needs to be dispensed with, what needs to be focused on, what needs to be clarified, but in any event, how do we fix things to make multilateralism work?
Meanwhile, on the matter of Haiti, Minister Johnson Smith revealed that the UN Security Council has passed a new resolution authorizing a new multinational gang suppression force, GSF, to replace the multinational security support mission, which expires on Friday.
So it was absolutely critical that a vote be taken and that we have an agreed way forward that would not leave not only Haiti at odds as to what next for us and is the international community leaving us behind, but it's also for the forces that are there to ensure that there is a next chapter, a next phase that is UN-backed and that will have resources in order to ensure that we do our very best.
A statement from the UN says the resolution was co-penned by Panama and the United States, with backing from dozens of countries in the region and beyond. It was adopted by a vote Tuesday, with 12 countries in favor of the resolution and 3 abstentions. Under an initial 12-month mandate, the GSF will work in close coordination with the Haitian National Police and the Haitian Armed Forces. This is to conduct intelligence-led operations to neutralize gangs, provide security for critical infrastructure, and support humanitarian access. The over 5,000-strong force will also protect vulnerable groups, support reintegration of former fighters, and help strengthen Haitian institutions.
Jamaica has agreed to be a part of the group of standing partners. One of the countries, member countries of the group of standing partners that will be a part of the planning and the standing up of the new gang suppression force, as well as the monitoring and engagement as between that force and the Security Council. We take note as well that this mission is intended to work in parallel with the OAS roadmap for Haiti's return to stability and security.
And finally, National Cybersecurity Awareness Month officially kicks off today with a slate of planned activities. The month will be celebrated globally under the theme Secure Our World and nationally under the theme Secure Today for a Smarter Tomorrow. The details were shared by Director of the Cyber Incident Response Team JASERT Division, retired Lieutenant Colonel Garvey Sterling, at a recent JIS think tank.
The goal of NCAM this year is really to continue to amplify the national awareness of the CERT's existence and the roles we play in national cybersecurity, as well as to help persons to improve their cyber hygienic practices and businesses to become more cooperative.
The first week of observances, beginning October 6, will focus on private sector engagement and business resilience. Week 2 will feature community outreach and public education. Week 3 highlights youth and cybersecurity careers, while the final week will focus on national security and critical infrastructure, including high-level simulations and response exercises. Retired Lieutenant Colonel Sterling noted that one of the main highlights this year will be National Cybersecurity Awareness Day on Thursday, October 30.
This will be twinned with the Jamaica Defense Force and their third staging of their Cyberthon. This year it's themed Cyberstorm 2025, and for CyberX JM we're going to do a cascading collapse of the financial sector in a simulated environment.
The JASERT director added that throughout October, Jamaicans will be engaged through an interactive social media campaign featuring cybersecurity tips, quizzes, and giveaways. The public is encouraged to get involved and stay informed by following the campaign online using several hashtags like #SecureTomorrow and #ThinkCyberActSecure. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Lisa Rowe. Thanks for watching.
Watch as Minister of Labour and Social Security Pernell Charles Jr. participates in the observation of International Day of Older Persons 2025 with this message.
My fellow Jamaicans, today we join the rest of the world in observing the United Nations International Day of Older Persons 2025 under the theme Older Persons, Driving Local and Global Action, Our Aspirations, Our Well-Being and Our Rights. This theme reminds us that older adults are not passive bystanders. They are powerful agents of change. As UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said, older persons are powerful agents of change. Their voices must be heard in shaping policies, ending age discrimination, and building inclusive societies. Here in Jamaica, we have been echoing this global call during Senior Citizens Month 2025, celebrated under the theme Respect, Protect, Empower, Connect. This message aligns beautifully with the United Nations theme. When we respect older persons, we affirm their aspirations. When we protect their well-being, we safeguard their dignity and rights. When we empower them, we ensure their voices influence policy and action. And when we connect across generations, we build inclusive communities where every person has a place. Globally, the population of persons over 60 has more than doubled, from 541 million in 1995 to 1.2 billion this year. And this figure is expected to grow to 2.1 billion by 2050. According to the UN, by 2080, persons 65 years and older will outnumber children under the age of 18. By 2030, 15% of Jamaicans will be over the age of 60, and projections are that most of these persons are expected to live to at least the age of 73, which is 8 years more than the life expectancy in 1995. So, with longer life expectancy, we have greater responsibilities to ensure strong health care, support, and protection, while we ensure that pathways are provided for older persons to engage in meaningful work and service where desired. As a ministry, we remain committed to advancing the national policy for senior citizens, strengthening healthcare partnerships, expanding digital literacy, and building systems that guarantee every older Jamaican not only feels, but truly is respected, protected, empowered, and connected every single day. Today, we salute you, our older persons. You have preserved our heritage, shaped our future, and you continue to be our inspiration for the inclusive Jamaica that we are determined to create. From us to you, happy International Day of Older Persons. One love.
As you should know, October is the month we honor and celebrate our heroes, whether recognized or unsung. Throughout the month, we'll bring you special highlights and in-depth features on our heroes, both past and present. We now turn our attention to remembering our first national hero, the Right Excellent Marcus Mosiah Garvey.
God and nature first made us what we are. And out of our own creative genius, we make ourselves what we want to be. Follow always that great law. Let God and the sky be our limit and eternity our measurement.
Marcus Garvey has paved the way for us to determine our own destiny, in which we validate who we are and what is most important to us.
It is he who taught us that the black skin is not a badge of shame, but rather a glorious symbol of national greatness.
I shall see the black man to see beauty in his own kind and stop bleaching his skin and otherwise looking like what he's not.
Encouraging us to heed the lessons of history, unleash the power of the pen, and create a new era of scientific greatness.
There is no future for people who deny their path. Mind creates, and as much as we desire in nature, we can have through the creation of our own mind. Liberate the minds of men, and ultimately you will liberate the bodies of men. But in your homes and everywhere possible, you must teach the higher development of science to your children.
Jamaica's first national hero was born in St. Anne's Bay on August 17, 1887. Over the next half-century and 3 years, he would work, find love twice, raise his progeny, and leave behind a legacy that resulted in him being conferred with the Order of the National Hero in 1969. A lifetime after the UNIA was a fact and the People's Political Party had foreshadowed modern self-governance, Marcus Garvey died in 1940 and finally returned home for lasting rest in 1964.
With God's dearest blessings, I leave you for a while. One love.
Our heritage is more than history. It's our voice, our power, our future. This September to October, the JIS invites you to join our 2025 Heritage Competition. This year's theme is Our Heritage, Our Voice, Honoring the Struggles, Protecting the Future.
Primary school students, write an essay celebrating the achievements of Jamaicans. Share how we can honor their legacy and protect the future of our nation. Secondary school students, create a poster that reflects the strength of our people and your vision for safeguarding Jamaica's tomorrow. Tertiary students, capture it all in a photograph that tells the story of our people and our future. Enter for a chance to win amazing prizes and have your creativity celebrated across Jamaica.
Submit your entries to our website www.jis.gov.jm by October 24. Grab your pens, your paintbrushes, and your camera and let your voice be heard in the JIS Heritage Competition.
The sun is no joke, especially in the middle of the day. So, what do you do to protect yourself?
Slap on some sunscreen that's SPF 30 or higher. Sunscreen should be broad spectrum and water resistant, especially for beach or pool days, and reapplied every 2 hours.
And while you're at it, slip on a shirt to protect your skin. Light, breathable fabrics are best.
Lastly, seek shade between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. because this is when the sun's UV rays are strongest. Skin safety is your safety. Cover up today and try your best to keep cool. Oh, I know I've already said it, but please remember, not because we're black means we don't need sunscreen. All skin types do.
How much do you know about Jamaica's visual arts? Up next, we'll take you on a journey through the story of our country's vibrant visual arts culture.
The music often reflects what's happening in the visual arts. There are several visual artists that have designed album covers for a lot of other people like Peter Tosh and so on.
The head of the school at that time was Barrington Watson, and he set about putting in place a diploma program.
Since independence, visual arts expression in Jamaica has shifted significantly. The story of Jamaican visual arts remains a strikingly colorful mixture. It's one that's layered with the details of artists stroking their brushes with intentionality. Some using their toothstone axes to create sculptures that tell stories of our blackness. Others whose pencils and chalks have mastered realism. And then more who are preserving elements of our historical experiences and newer issues. The last 60 years of Jamaica's visual arts landscape easily provides a fully immersive and stimulating experience. Along with independence came a new impulse to establish national identity through different areas of the country, including the visual arts.
The visual arts in Jamaica began not very long before independence, with the return of Edna Manley and Norman Manley to Jamaica. Edna Manley was herself an artist. When they returned to the island, she is famously remembered for remarking that she saw nothing that reflected the people of Jamaica. In other words, drawings that were being done by children in schools looked like European children. And she set about trying to change that with her own work and with the establishment of a school at the Institute of Jamaica. So independence and the early development of visual arts in Jamaica coincided greatly.
This interest to see more Black representation prompted the introduction of modern art ideas from artists like Albert Huey, Milton Harley, and Barrington Watson. Education in art, particularly through the School of Visual Arts, moved from part-time classes,
offering courses in sculpture and courses in painting. They started also ceramics with Cecil Ball. So there was Albert Huey and Cecil Ball were her co-founders of the school.
Introducing classes granting diploma, now with a new name, the Cultural Training Center, and later formalization by the state as the Edna Manley College of the Visual and Performing Arts emerged with the degree granting status.
We were very fortunate to have leaders in the early days and after independence who thought that developing Jamaica culturally was very central to developing the country. Both Michael Manley and Edward Siaga were responsible for the Cultural Training Center.
In that period too, the National Gallery of Jamaica emerged, displaying and celebrating true Jamaican art. Through the gallery, many of our self-taught artists were able to exhibit under the label of intuitive.
People like Brother Brown, people like Capo. In Jamaica, we had a lot of artists who never went to school, but they could create images that had a certain emotional power.
It was David Boxer who coined the term intuitive to describe this aspect of Jamaican art, a term now recognized and used globally. He rejected such terms as primitive, naive, and folk, as he felt that there was a sophistication there of color and form that immediately challenged the very designation, primitive.
Also, in the 80s into the 90s, you began to see a little bit more of individual expression, more of artists producing artwork that reflected some of the turmoil of the late 70s and early 80s.
In the 1990s, the Caribbean region was opening up, and right along with that came a flood of Pan-Africanist ideas, which started to impact the visual art story our nation was still writing. That collision became evident in the work of popular artists such as Petrona Morrison, Stanford Watson, and Omari Ra. There was also the rise of monuments being produced from the hands of famous sculptors such as Basil Watson, Laura Facey, and Raymond Watson.
In the 2000s, you'll see more of what's happening in the diaspora and diaspora artists speaking about their own realities as well as their connections with Jamaica.
Also, Paint Jamaica's mural project took off in Kingston.
It has been the kind of cross-pollination again with the realities of the global artistic community, with people seeing the dynamism and the potential of murals beyond being a memorial, but ways to create urban renewal, ways to create environments of safety.
And/or biennials continue to evolve with a changing artistic landscape.
The biennial has evolved in a way to be much more inclusive of the diaspora. So it's been reaching out in its scope, and that has been reflected in what is exhibited in this current biennial.
So that cross-pollination between Jamaicans living in different places has created an overarching trajectory of how our 60th year in the arts have come to a sort of global village in how Jamaicans are looking at themselves, both as Jamaicans at home and abroad.
Why war? Why killing? God made us all to love each other. Why stray from the word of God? Remember, we are our brother's keeper. Let us stop and reflect that God is love and erase the war and the killing from our minds. Our fathers and our mothers, our brothers and our sisters, our seniors are all getting frustrated from the sound of the guns. When is this painful phenomenon going to stop? Is it a disease that is taking root in our land? Let us kneel together and ask our Creator to grant us that loving word, peace.
We're at the end of today's show, but be sure to join us again tomorrow for another lineup geared towards providing you with information on the government's policies and initiatives for building a better Jamaica. Remember to remain patient and give all your respect to our beloved seniors. They have earned their dignity through their lifetime. You may visit our website, jis.gov.jm, to rewatch this show or to catch up on the others we have on the site. I'm Theodore Henry telling you thanks for watching from our production team here at the JIS.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.